We usually expect medicine to work a lot like engineering, I guess.
Right.
You break a bone, you get an X-ray, it shows a jagged white line, and the doctor just points and says, there's the problem.
Yeah, it's a very comforting binary system. You're broken or you're intact.
Exactly. Sick or healthy. But the moment you step into the world of human aging, that certainty just completely vanishes.
Oh, absolutely.
The diagnostic landscape becomes, incredibly complex and, frankly, full of contradictions.
Yeah, it really does.
So welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a massive viral discussion from the Reddit community raging.
Such an interesting thread.
It really was. It was titled simply, "We are aging differently, y'all." And it was posted by someone right on the brink of turning 60, and it clearly struck a nerve with thousands of people.
For good reason, honestly.
Right. So our mission today is to explore the shocking divergence in how people age once they hit midlife. We're unpacking the physical, the mental, and the hidden factors that determine whether our later years are spent thriving or declining.
It's a lot to cover.
It is. And to you, the listener, we want you to treat this like you're sitting right here at the table with us. Think about where your own daily habits place you in this, biological timeline.
Well, before we really get into the mechanisms of all this, there is a crucial housekeeping note we need to mention.
Oh, right, the disclaimer.
Yeah. Because we are looking at real, unfiltered conversations from the internet, the source material contains some pretty politically charged anecdotes.
Yeah, people get very personal on these threads.
Exactly. For instance, the original poster mentioned being banned from another forum for discussing their views on the state of the U.S.
Right.
And another user shared a story about a relative who has embraced extreme conspiracy theories, specifically citing a belief that Ron DeSantis is actually Adam Walsh.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
It is. So we need to be explicitly clear here. We're sharing these anecdotes solely to accurately reflect the source material and the profound social stress these individuals are documenting.
Just giving the full picture.
Right. This deep dive is entirely impartial. We do not endorse any political viewpoints, left-wing, right-wing, whatever. We are simply reporting the ideas contained in the original text.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the visible divergent.
The stuff we can actually see.
Exactly. The original poster looks around at their peer group and notices this massive, undeniable split. Half of their friends are still going to huge outdoor concerts, traveling the world, seeking out new experiences.
Right. Highly active.
And the other half literally will not participate in an activity if it requires walking more than a couple hundred steps.
It's wild. It's not a gradual slope of aging. It looks much more like a sharp fork in the road.
Yeah. And the most vivid illustration of this came from someone who actually worked at a community center for the 55-plus crowd.
Oh, this story was fascinating.
Right. They described the building as literally having 2 floors. Upstairs was a full gym with weights and cardio equipment.
And downstairs?
Downstairs was the recreation room. Bingo, seated crafting, potlucks, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they noticed that comparing a 70-year-old upstairs to a 70-year-old downstairs was like looking at a 20-year age gap.
A completely different generation, basically.
Literally. 2 completely different human experiences happening under the exact same roof.
The physical layout of that building perfectly mirrors the biological reality.
Right.
And what's critical to understand is that the downstairs group isn't just losing skeletal muscle mass. I mean, they are actively losing cognitive elasticity.
Wait, really? How does doing bicep curls or walking on a treadmill translate to brain function?
It all comes down to blood flow and neurogenesis.
Oh.
When you engage in sustained physical activity, you dramatically increase blood flow to the brain, which stimulates the release of something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF.
BDNF.
Yeah. Think of BDNF as like fertilizer for your brain.
Oh, I like that.
Right. It helps create new neural pathways and maintains the ones you already have. When you stop moving, that production just drops. The entire system, both physical and mental, it just powers down. The user at that community center explicitly noted that they could converse with the upstairs gym-goers just like peers their own age.
And the downstairs group.
The downstairs group was noticeably mentally slowing down.
That makes total sense. And it's not just the gym. It's compounding lifestyle choices.
Definitely.
Someone in the thread mentioned going to their high school reunion at age 50. Some classmates look 60 or 70, and they chalked it up to decades of zero sunscreen and a diet of basically eating Twinkies by the box.
Yeah, processed food and UV rays will do that.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the self-described nerds who stayed indoors away from the sun actually looked much younger.
Because they save their collagen.
Right. Plus, there's a fascinating biomechanical truth raised by another user. They pointed out that muscle physically changes how your skin looks.
Yes, that's a brilliant observation on the actual mechanics of aging.
How does that work?
Well, as we lose collagen over time, our skin naturally loses elasticity and sags, right?
Right, the typical wrinkles.
But if you maintain muscle hypertrophy, meaning you actively keep your muscle volume up through resistance training, that muscle acts as a robust internal scaffold.
Oh, I see.
It physically pushes out against the skin, pulling it taut and reducing the appearance of wrinkles.
So it's basically filling the space.
That's incredible.
I know.
It makes me think of, imagine two identical vintage cars, right? Like 1985 sedans.
Okay, I'm with you.
One of them, you drive 4 miles every week. You change the oil, replace the rubber belts before they snap, keep the engine lubricated.
Regular maintenance.
Exactly. The other sedan, you just park in a climate-controlled garage and don't touch it for 30 years. On paper, they are the exact same age.
Right.
But if you suddenly try to take that garage car onto the highway, the hoses are brittle, the seals are dried out, the engine mounts crack.
Yeah, the inactivity is actually what destroyed it.
Exactly. But I have a question about this. Is aging really just about the physical maintenance, or is it a psychological mindset? Like refusing to stop moving. What's fascinating here is how closely the psychology and the physiology actually communicate.
Really?
Yeah. One commenter admitted they sometimes wake up feeling more exhausted than when they went to bed.
I think we've all been there.
Right. And they noted that they could easily just concede to that feeling, sit in a recliner for the rest of their life, and, quote, that's how you become old.
Wow.
Aging often begins with this psychological concession.
But wait, are you saying my mindset actually dictates my cellular function? That sounds a little bit like, I don't know, manifesting or something.
No, it's not magic at all. It's a documented neuroendocrine response.
Okay, explain that.
When you psychologically concede, when you literally decide you are done pushing yourself,
Yeah.
your behaviors change immediately.
Well, yeah, you sit down.
Right. And then your heart rate variability drops because you stop challenging your cardiovascular system. Your lymphatic system, which relies on muscle contraction to clear cellular waste, it becomes sluggish.
So the garbage just builds up.
Exactly. You aren't just thinking yourself old. Your brain is literally sending the signal to your biology that it no longer needs to maintain peak operational capacity.
That is incredibly sobering. But this raises a paradox, I think.
How so?
Well, we just established that movement keeps the biological machinery humming.
Right.
So how do we explain the endurance athletes who seemingly do everything right but still face massive health crises? Because fitness clearly does not equal invincibility.
No, it really doesn't. And this shifts our conversation from visible aging to the hidden biological clocks.
Right. Let's look at the original poster again. They describe themselves as a former endurance athlete and a consistent gym goer.
Very fit, outwardly.
Very fit. But they go to the doctor for a routine checkup, prompted by slightly elevated cholesterol.
Okay.
The doctor orders a scan, and suddenly they find a massive calcium buildup around their heart.
A ticking time bomb.
Literally. They are immediately put on an aggressive statin prescription and told they might only have 10 to 25 years left.
That's terrifying.
It is. But first of all, what exactly is a statin, and what is this scan actually measuring?
So a statin is a medication that specifically blocks an enzyme your liver uses to produce cholesterol, which helps prevent further plaque buildup.
Got it.
And the scan they are referring to is a coronary calcium scan. It uses a specialized CT machine to look for calcified plaque inside the arteries of your heart.
And plaque is just, what, fat and cholesterol?
Hardened deposits of fat, cholesterol, and calcium, yeah. It's a direct indicator of cardiovascular risk. You can have the skeletal muscle of a 30-year-old and the internal plumbing of an 80-year-old.
That is wild. But the plumbing seems to follow no logical rules.
What do you mean?
Well, there was a user who described themselves as overweight. They've been on Crestor statin for 25 years. They get the exact same calcium scan and score a perfect 0.
Zero plaque.
0.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, their younger brother gets the scan and scores a 427, which they refer to as the widowmaker.
Oh, wow. Yeah, a score over 400 indicates extensive, severe plaque buildup.
So the fit-looking younger brother was actually worse off.
Way worse off. That younger brother was in imminent danger of a major cardiac event, regardless of his outward appearance.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
If an overweight person can score a perfect 0, Why is the medical community still relying so heavily on how people look?
Yeah.
Like, why aren't we gathering actual data on what's happening inside their bodies?
It's a huge problem.
It really is.
Yeah.
This bias really came into focus when a 51-year-old woman in the thread shared her story. Heart disease is a top killer of women.
Number one, actually.
Right. She was experiencing severe palpitations and shortness of breath for days. She goes to the ER, and they just give her an EKG, leave her in a waiting room for 12 hours, and ultimately dismiss her symptoms as just anxiety.
That is infuriating.
Why an EKG and not the scan we just talked about?
Because that is a classic, deeply flawed heuristic in emergency medicine. An EKG, or electrocardiogram, only measures the electrical signals of your heart. It can tell you if you are actively having a heart attack right that second, or if your heart rhythm is irregular. It cannot show the physical blockages or the plaque inside the pipes.
So it misses the underlying cause.
Exactly. You can have a perfectly normal EKG while walking around with 90% blocked arteries.
And then they just blamed it on anxiety.
Yes, because historically, medical diagnostics were modeled almost entirely on male physiology.
Oh, right.
A classic male heart attack often presents as crushing chest pressure or pain radiating down the left arm. But women's symptoms present entirely differently.
Like what?
They often experience severe jaw pain, profound fatigue, upper back aching, or nausea.
And that gets ignored.
Because those symptoms don't fit the traditional male diagnostic model, women's cardiovascular emergencies are chronically misdiagnosed as psychiatric issues like panic attacks or anxiety.
Which means we all have to aggressively advocate for objective data.
Absolutely. You have to ask for the right tests.
But even when you get the data, it can be terrifying. Thankfully, there was a retired medical professional in the thread who offered a critical next step.
Oh, the stress test advice.
Yes. They noted that if you do get a scary calcium score, you need to demand a stress test.
Exactly. A stress test puts you on a treadmill and monitors your heart under exertion. It provides context.
Context is key.
Right. Because the calcium scan tells you the plaque is there, but the stress test tells you if blood is still successfully flowing around it. It shifts the patient from a state of blind panic into informed, manageable risk.
Okay, so we have the visible wear and tear, and we have these hidden biological time bombs like arterial plaque.
Right.
But reading through these experiences, it's clear that diet and exercise aren't the only forces at play. There are unseen accelerants at work here behind the scenes.
You're referring to systemic environmental stressors.
Yes, someone shared a story that perfectly illustrates this. They were the classic upstairs gym goer. Ate perfectly, exercised daily.
Checked all the boxes.
Checked all the boxes. But they endured prolonged, inescapable trauma and stress. By their early 50s, their immune system essentially collapsed.
Oh, that's tragic.
They said they catch a virus almost every single week now. They noted that short-term stress is manageable, but high stress over long periods literally destroys your physical tissues.
It absolutely does.
But hold on, if stress is so destructive, why did we evolve to experience it? It seems like a biological design flaw.
Well, it's not a flaw if it's used correctly.
Okay.
The mechanism of stress is driven by cortisol and adrenaline. Evolutionarily, those hormones are a survival superpower.
For running away from bears and stuff.
Exactly. If a predator is chasing you, cortisol dumps glucose into your bloodstream for instant muscle energy, and it suppresses your immune and digestive systems because fighting off a cold doesn't matter if you're about to be eaten.
Good point.
It's designed to last for a few minutes.
So what happens when it lasts for a decade?
It's like driving your car with the engine constantly at the red line.
Oh, yikes.
Chronic, unrelenting stress keeps your cortisol levels artificially high 24/7. That chronic elevation causes widespread systemic inflammation.
And inflammation is bad news.
It is the primary driver of rapid aging. It degrades your joints, it exhausts your immune system, and it accelerates cellular death.
And it's not just emotional or psychological stress, right? It's viral stress.
Definitely.
Someone brought up a fascinating point about how viruses age the body, specifically looking at COVID-19. They noted that repeated viral infections shorten our telomeres and permanently wreck the vascular system.
Yes, SARS-CoV-2 has a massive impact on the vascular system.
They also mentioned that historically, humanity relied on a 7-year pillow of recovery time between major flu variants, and we've completely lost that. Can you explain that pillow concept?
Sure. Historically, major novel respiratory viruses would sweep through the population roughly every 7 to 10 years.
Okay.
When you fight off a severe virus, your immune system depletes its reserve of naive T cells. Those are the specialized cells that haven't yet been programmed to fight a specific disease.
Right.
It takes years for your bone marrow and thymus to replenish that standing army. That 7-year pillow allowed our immune systems to rebuild.
But now,
With constantly mutating, highly infectious viruses circulating back to back, people are getting infected multiple times a year. The T-cell reserves never fully recover, leading to a state of permanent immune exhaustion.
wow. And they mentioned this ties into telomeres, too.
Yes, telomeres are essentially the protective caps at the ends of your DNA strands.
Like the little plastic tips on shoelaces.
Exactly. Every time your cells divide to repair tissue damage from a virus, those caps get a little shorter.
And when they run out,
When they burn down completely, the cell enters a state called senescence. It stops functioning, but it refuses to die.
so it's like a zombie cell.
Basically, instead of dying, it just sits there secreting inflammatory chemicals into the surrounding tissue.
Which perfectly explains the macro data that another user linked to in the sub.
Oh, the generational aging data.
Yeah, scientists are currently tracking a massive shift. People born after 1965 Gen X and younger are biologically aging faster than previous generations.
It's alarming data.
And the data directly links this accelerated aging to a sharp rise in early-onset lung and colorectal cancers. They tied immune exhaustion to the lung cancer, but they tied aging fat tissue to the colorectal cancer.
Right.
How does fat tissue cause cancer?
This goes back to those senescent zombie cells. As we age faster, our adipose tissue, our fat, accumulates these damaged cells.
Okay.
Those cells secrete inflammatory cytokines directly into the bloodstream and the gut. This creates a highly toxic, inflamed microenvironment in the intestines.
And cancer loves inflammation.
Cancer thrives in chronic inflammation. So the faster the fat tissue ages, the more hospitable the gut becomes to tumor growth.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Are we all just at the mercy of the modern world?
It can certainly feel that way.
Because looking at this cocktail of arterial plaque, missing T cells, and chronic trauma, it's easy to feel entirely helpless. And you really feel that weight in the grief these people are sharing online.
The emotional toll is just staggering.
The original poster mentioned a cascade of family deaths starting in 2022.
Yeah.
Another person listed losing both parents, 2 brothers, a goddaughter, and essentially losing a sister to extreme conspiracy theories.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it completely reframes the concept of aging gracefully.
How so?
Society loves to moralize health. If you get sick or age poorly, the implication is that you didn't try hard enough, you didn't eat enough kale or do enough yoga.
Right, like it's your fault.
Exactly. But what this biological data shows is that aging poorly isn't always a personal failing. Very often, it is a direct physiological response to living through a profoundly stressful, virally active era.
It is a heavy realization. But as we transition to the final piece of this deep dive, what amazed me was seeing how people are actually taking control. They aren't just giving up.
No, they are pushing back hard.
Given these terrifying hidden accelerants, people are making highly intentional choices to reclaim whatever years they have left. And the strategies are completely across the board.
It ranges from extreme discipline to fundamental risk management.
Let's start with the extreme end, the fighter. There's a 57-year-old user who went through a brutal divorce and decided to weaponize his aging process.
Yeah, his regimen was intense.
He's taking vitamin A, using minoxidil, getting quarterly facials, but physically he is bulking up. He's bench pressing 185 pounds, taking boxing and training in Krav Maga.
He's literally preparing for battle.
He literally said he is working out to go down fighting for his last 10 years. For those who don't know, what is Krav Maga?
Krav Maga is an incredibly intense, close-contact martial art developed by the Israeli military.
Wow.
It's not about sport or scoring points. It's about neutralizing a threat as quickly and aggressively as possible.
It's hardcore.
Very. He isn't just trying to look good in a mirror. He is building literal armor and combat readiness to stave off the physical vulnerability that comes with getting older.
But then you have the complete opposite approach, the pragmatist.
Ah, the nurse.
Right. There was a registered nurse who chimed in, and she brought a heavy dose of reality to the conversation. She pointed out that building muscle and aging gracefully means absolutely nothing if you ignored basic safety.
Physics always wins.
She talked about treating patients who attended the Surges motorcycle rally without helmets, ending up paralyzed in wheelchairs from entirely preventable head injuries.
It's a tragic reality.
Her point was that you can biohack all you want, but you have to wear a seatbelt.
And that is a brilliant safety warning. As our cellular ability to repair trauma diminishes, protecting our physical structure from acute catastrophic damage, like wearing a helmet, becomes exponentially more critical than any supplement.
And beyond the physical preparation, There was a profound pushback regarding empathy.
Yes, the invisible disabilities comment.
Remember at the very beginning, when the original poster was frustrated by friends who, quote-unquote, won't walk a few hundred steps? Someone gently corrected them. They pointed out that many people have invisible disabilities. They aren't opting out or just being lazy. They are physically disabled and navigating a world that lacks accessible options.
Their nervous systems might be failing, or they're in chronic pain.
I have to admit, I sometimes fall into that trap of judging people who take the elevator to the second floor when there are stairs right there.
This raises an important question about how we judge both ourselves and others.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be proud of our own upstairs gym status and attribute it entirely to our own willpower.
Look at me, I'm so disciplined.
Exactly. But true maturity is recognizing that for many people, the biology simply breaks down despite their best efforts.
Which ultimately brings us to how these individuals are finding peace, the community focus.
Yeah, the conclusions were really touching.
The original poster realized that their main goal now is simply to be a good neighbor and build local community. Meanwhile, the person who lost their entire family said their ultimate backup plan is to escape the anger of the modern U.S., find an island, and live with golden retrievers.
Honestly, that sounds amazing.
It really does.
Yeah.
So listener, what stands out to you? Are you currently in the gym prepping for Krav Maga? Or are you packing your bags for island life with your dogs?
I think one of the most poignant comments came from a user who blends Stoicism, Buddhism, and Tao beliefs.
What did they say?
Her conclusion was beautifully simple. We are born, we die, and what we do in the space between is our choice.
Wow. Okay, let's pull all of this together. Today, we've learned that human aging is a complex cocktail. It's the daily habits, the upstairs gym versus the downstairs bingo.
It's the hidden biological time bombs that require self-advocacy to uncover.
Right, get in the actual data. We've explored the invisible toll of stress and novel viruses, and we've seen the basic necessity of protecting our heads and hearts while extending basic empathy to others.
It is a massive amount of information to process.
It is.
And I want to leave the listener with one final thought to mull over, tying back to that generational data.
Okay.
If science is showing that those born after 1965 are biologically aging faster and facing earlier health crises, it begs the question, will the traditional concept of retirement age soon become entirely obsolete?
Oh, wow.
Not just because of the economy, but because our biological clocks might demand we completely restructure how we live, work, and rest while we are still in our 50s.
We simply might not have the luxury of waiting until 65.
Exactly.
That is a staggering thought. If the biological timeline is accelerating, the traditional calendar has to change. Thank you for taking this deep dive with us today. Check your oil, keep your engine warm, and we'll see you on the next one.